Hello, my name is Sabrina Betancourt and my craft is tattooing. So I am born in Dallas, Texas, but I grew up all over the state. I moved down from Dallas when I was probably like 2 years old. My parents took me down to literally the tip of Texas, Brownsville, and I grew up there with my family, would cross over to Mexico on a daily basis. My mom's side of the family was there, so I grew up with my cousins in Mexico, and then I would come home, go to school in the US, so I had that. And I've now made my way back to Fort Worth, Texas, so here we are. I was very blessed to have a mom who wanted me to enjoy being a kid and didn't want me to be in a rush to grow up. Constantly, she was like, everything has its time, everything has its era. Don't feel like you need to grow up too fast. Enjoy every single moment. And I'm glad she did. At the time, obviously, as a kid, you're like, oh, I want to grow up, and Mom, I want to do these cool things, and why do they get to do that and I don't? And it's like, it's okay. But I got to run around a lot outside. I got to, go to the beach and be in the backyard, and I had a jungle gym, and I thought I was a gymnast, and I got to draw and paint and color, and that was the only thing that kept me like calm. It was like, Sabrina's a little chaotic gremlin. How do we chill her out? Put some colors on the floor, and she'll actually like be quiet. And then she would come around and be like, are you good? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. So Mom is a fashion designer. That's what she went to school for in college. And she initially kind of started her own journey with painting, was very heavily influenced by a lot of Mexican artists. She was obsessed with Frida Kahlo. So over time, she just continued kind of introducing that artsy side of herself, and I would watch her paint, which was really beautiful, but she ended up giving that up for me to end up spending time with me. Then she became a teacher, and that became her vocation. But she passed that artsy side along down to me, and then my dad, his sister is a sculptor in Mexico City. So art runs in the family, it's in my blood. God gave me the great gift to be able to draw and paint and do anything. When it came to art, I loved looking at art. I loved the colors and the vibrancy, and I just always wanted to learn how do I do that? And I don't know, it calmed my mind down. It was a very good way for me to channel a lot of the energy that I had. As a kid, you kind of are so scatterbrained and you're trying to figure out who you are. So art was able to help me. My dad grew up pretty rough in a lot of the hood of Puerto Rico. He lost his dad at a young age, so he kind of hit the streets, kept up with that gang life, and ended up getting a lot of tattoos that way. Has a lot of prison tats. So by the time he became my dad, right, I grew up seeing a really cool dad with a lot of cool stuff on his body, and I had no idea they were prison tattoos. I was just like, that's cool. Dad has pictures on his arms and his legs and his back and his chest, and that's pretty neat. And then my oldest brother has the side of his head tattooed, his knees, his whole body is covered. My other brother also, full front panel, full back panel, they were tatted out. And me being me, I was like, I'm a girl. I don't see why I can't get tattooed. That's pretty cool. So I just went for it and was like, I love body art. I think it's a beautiful thing. As I got older, I think I just continued to see it very prevalent. And then once I became a client and became a consumer of tattoos, I was like, okay, people do this for a living. This is a real job. And I started asking them kind of, hey, do you have another job besides this? Or is this your full time? So the idea kind of lived in my head, but it's almost that battle between wanting to become an artist and society telling you, no, you're gonna be a starving artist and you're not gonna be able to do anything with your life and you need money and money, right? It's always about money. So I was like, man, this sucks, right? So how do I become an artist? How do I do this? Mom was like, become a painter and do these things. And I'm like, how many paintings am I gonna make until I make money, right? There's so many people that make beautiful works and beautiful art, but when do they actually get paid for that work? I kind of saw it as tattooing is a service. And I think that's kind of what distinguished it for me of like, I give you the tattoo, you have to pay me when you get the tattoo. You can't leave without doing that. So in the financial aspect, it made me feel like, okay, this is a real possibility. So my first tattoo, I had some amazing people give me my first tattoo machine, and it was an Amazon kit tattoo machine, right? Like, we all start from humble beginnings, and that's where I started. And I had no idea what anything was. So I just kind of said, okay, like anything else, I have to try it to figure it out. So I was watching YouTube videos, and I'm very glad that I'm born in this generation where information is everywhere. I have a lot of friends in the industry, so I was able to pick their brains. And I remember sitting down for my first tattoo on fake skin, and it was a wild ride. It was a very odd sensation. There was a lot of physical kind of tactile feedback from the machine, which I know now is part of like kind of the process of learning how to tattoo. You have to kind of listen to your machine in a very weird way. Needle depth, all of those things that I had no idea that I was doing. I was definitely chopping up the skin that I was tattooing. Thankfully it was fake skin, right? But I like sliced through it. I mean, you know, you literally looked through and it had a perfect little cut. And I was like, ah. So it kind of made me get really kind of, I don't know, it put me in a place of like, okay, girl, we can't do this to real people. So like, let's put some practice in. And then I had a crazy friend that was like, look, dude, I have a lot of jacked work that I got while I was in prison. I don't mind you giving me something. It can't look any worse. So he was like, let's do it. And that was like, okay. And I remember getting the machine and I was about to touch his arm with the needle and I freaked out. And I was like, I can't. I was like pacing around the room. I was freaking out. I was like, I can't. I put it down and I was looking at it and I was looking at him. I was like, I can't do this. He's like, you can. You'll be fine. It'll be okay. I don't know what overcame me, but I was like, okay, if we really want to do this, we got to go for it. Sometimes you really do just have to jump off the deep end. So I went really light. My first pass didn't go in super well, which I was very happy about because I was like, I'd rather have to go over twice than chop you up one time. And that just sucks for you and that sucks for me. So that kind of became a really weird interaction that helped me kind of get rid of that fear. And that's the initial jump. And yeah, my hand was shaking. I was very nervous, but it actually turned out really well. And I mean, from his feedback and other people who had seen it, and I sent it to all of my friends, I was like, don't hold back. Tell me how horrible it is. I know how horrible it is, but just be honest. And they gave me so much good feedback. They were like, honestly, for your first time on skin, it doesn't look that bad. I was like, yeah, like we did it, you know? My first real tattoo. As, you know, much as I've grown since then, I think I still look back at it and I'm like, oh, wow, like little baby me would be so proud. Like I'm so excited that we did that. So yeah. There is something so beautiful about your artwork taking life on people. There's something so different than, right, like I love my, you know, beautiful paintings and, you know, prints that I can get from amazing artists and go to a gallery and see their work or purchase a, you know, tapestry or a pot and use it and have the functionality of it. And I know some people really, really love that. Everyone has their niche. For me, it was, I love talking to people. I'm a yapper. I'm a professional yapper. If I could get paid for it, I so would. But it gave me a really cool way that I was not expecting. I think it was something that I think God really put it in my life for a reason and gave me this avenue to be able to speak to people, to make them feel comfortable. It gave kind of what I always thought was, oh, Sabrina, you talk too much. I would get in trouble in school for talking all the time. But now it was like, I have a way to channel that and my art, like two very big portions of who I am as a person, kind of the worlds collided. And then I was able to make art. And I always tell my clients, and I very much stand on this now, even with the beginning stages of my tattooing, I never wanted somebody to ever feel like the other person down the street has the exact same tattoo that you do. I want to know who you are. I want to know what this tattoo means to you. Is this something that you're representing a family member? Is this something about you? Does it not have any meaning? And we can give it meaning, you know, right now. Like, what does this symbolize for you? I think historically tattooing has always been about marking the body with purpose. And it's always been a very ritualistic and beautiful kind of process. And I've always tried to honor that, especially as somebody coming from a Christian background, struggling with that, should you be tattooed? Should you not? What does the Bible say? Right? And taking all of those interpretations and understanding the way that marking the body was biblically was not the way that I was doing so. And I think there's a lot of intention in what I do. And there's also intention in how I'm presenting my artwork. I'm always very grateful to my clients. I think it is an honor that you choose me because I'm harming you in a sense, right? It is a very physical experience for the both of us, right? I'm cutting into you, and I feel like my energy and everything that I carry is being poured into that. And if I don't hold a safe space, if I don't have a comfortable environment, if I don't allow you as a client to feel like you can trust me, then the experience will never be as good as it should be. And it can be a really beautiful experience. And I'm very grateful that almost all, if not every single experience I've had with my clients has been amazing. I feel like I always learn so much about people. I feel like every single one of my clients becomes a friend in a weird way. I always want them to feel that way. And I think that's probably why tattooing has become my preferred artistic method. It's something that nobody really tells you when you're first starting, but if I did not have the friends that I have that allowed me to practice on them, I wouldn't have gotten as good as I have gotten. And every tattoo makes me better for the next client, obviously, right? Practice makes perfect kind of thing. Fake skin sucks. Let me just tell it to you here. It's never like skin. People are so different, right? You could have somebody who's out in the sun and you can tell. If they don't moisturize, you can tell. If their skin is a little tougher than other people's, like my boyfriend, shout out to him. His skin is really tough. That's just how his skin is, right? There's no way to know. There's no one size fits all. That's the best way to kind of put it. You can practice as often as you want on fake skin to give you kind of the, like I said, that tactile feedback with your hand feeling the machine. But you can even feel when you're going too deep into someone's skin. You even use your other hand while you're tattooing and stretching the skin. You feel almost this feedback from the skin because of the pressure that you're putting down. Obviously, machines nowadays are much, much better. They're built in a way so that the damage is a lot less to the skin. You're causing a little less trauma to the skin. But overall, there is no way to be fully prepared and be like, yep, this is my time to finally go on real skin. You really have to just go for it. And trying different people, different ages. Like I tattooed my dad, horrible idea. He's almost in his 70s and his skin is like paper. So normally what I would be able to pull a really clean line on somebody, maybe let's say 20s to 40s, my dad being 50 plus, it's a little harder. Also, what kind of diet are you having? Are you a smoker? Are you a drinker? All of these things matter because, I mean, like we said, it is a very physical, traumatic experience to the body. So there's no way to really prep for it. I will say the best way to prep is to practice, but even drawing. Pulling straight lines when you draw, learning your actual mechanisms, learning your values and gradients and shading, all of the same fundamentals that you would take when it comes to painting, when it comes to drawing, when it comes to even practicing with a pen. That's something that usually a lot of tattoo artists will do. That's why you'll see a lot of people do pen drawings, because if you think about it, you can't erase a pen drawing. Once it's down, it's down. So it gives you the most kind of physical way to understand that once you put something down, there's no going back. And working in very thin layers, you know, once you start building up more shading and realism, depending on what kind of style you want to do. But overall, it really is a very physical experience that you have to just try. There's a tattoo artist here in Dallas. She's amazing. Her name is Deanna. She is fantastic, and she has mastered the painterly style, which was something that was not very widely done. I think she kind of broke that barrier and said, no, you can use a tattoo machine the same way that you would a paintbrush. And she found ways to use the same kind of fundamental ideas of painting when you're doing fine art, and you literally see like the panels that she does on people, and it literally looks like artwork that you would see up in any type of museum and gallery. You have to, one, have the imagination for it, right? Because that's what distinguishes you from everyone else, right? There is very much a culture in tattooing that you can be a great artist, but just because you're a great artist doesn't mean you're gonna be a great tattoo artist. And sometimes you can be a great tattoo artist, but you have zero creativity and you're just vomiting the same thing, regurgitating everything that everybody has done, and there's no originality, right? That's why the market is so saturated. But for majority tattoo artists who are purists in the art, not so much on the money side, and I will be very transparent about that, a lot of tattoo artists just want to do it for the money because it's good money. Don't get me wrong, I have spent thousands of dollars on my tattoos, so I get, it is a very lucrative business. But I think as an artist myself and as a tattoo artist, I don't operate that way. And anybody who does, I don't even go get tattooed by you because I can feel that, right? Like, I'm here for the people who are creating stuff that I've never seen in my entire life, and that's kind of what I eventually want to get to and graduate to one day and be able to make my own artwork and people be like, I want that, and it's super original and no one else has it. Every single client is an up, but with those ups, when clients are not around, that is a down. And that is the hardest part about being an artist, is still believing in yourself when no one is coming around to purchase your art, look at your art, inquire about it. When inspiration hits and you're like, man, this would be so cool. And then there's no one that thinks it's cool and you're like, but I thought it was cool. I really wish I could find somebody. And maybe there is someone, right? Maybe they're just, I don't know, in Alaska or something and we just don't know each other. You know what I mean? If you're out in Alaska and you see this, hit me up. Who knows? Maybe there's someone out there. I don't know. But the moments when I quit my 9-to-5, right? And earlier in February, I had one solid appointment, one. And God was like, yeah, you're good. And I was like, all right, God, if you're telling me let go and let you do what you do, I'm gonna do it. And I trusted and I had faith and I said, okay, God. But the human in me was like, how am I gonna pay the bills? What am I gonna do? If I don't have any clients, oh my gosh, is this a sign that I don't have any clients? Maybe I should have never done this. Maybe I'm not meant for this, right? And then you just start spiraling. You just start thinking I'm horrible. I don't know how to make art. What am I doing? Who do I think I am? You just start having an existential crisis. And then, thankfully, you have to have a good village. Have a good village, right? Not just your partner, but your family, your friends, even clients. Their word of mouth is everything. Everything. I can put social media up, I can do all these things, but my clients telling someone else their personal experience with me goes a long way. I love my clients. But yeah, it is hard. Comparison is a thief of joy. And obviously every aspect and every facet of our lives, you constantly compare yourself. And it doesn't stop when you're an artist. If not, it's exacerbated because you have to look at other people's work to improve your own, right? That's what we're taught as artists is, right? Look at people's work, see the things that you like, see the things that you appreciate. You look at their work and you're like, wow, look at their craftsmanship. How were they able to do that? But then the little, bad person inside of your brain is like, you're never gonna be that good. Who do you think you are? How are you gonna do that? You're already too old. You should have started when you were in the fetus. I don't know, you start telling yourself all these lies and you have to be able to have, like I said, such a good village of people. And for me, obviously, I have God constantly backing me, being like, I put this gift in you. So use it. It's a learning process, right? Like anything, your stencil is your like map. Think about it that way, right? I have a really good map, but let's say I don't know where to put my hand and I smudge my map. You learn very soon where to hand placement, how to work. You almost have to work like a printer. You have to work either, some people like working from top to bottom. I personally like working from bottom to top because if you think about it, as I'm placing my hand, it's never touching the rest of the stencil that I have above me, right? So it's like if I'm looking at my map and I have all this fresh ink up here, as I'm adding my, final permanent ink, I'm never smudging what's above me. But if I'm working top to bottom, I'm smudging all the way down. Some people are really good at it. Everybody has their, way that they work, which is also the cool part about tattooing. It's very customizable, especially once you get very proficient in it. You kind of see what works for you. But yeah, ink and blood will mix. Plasma will also mix. The skin will start to swell up, which will also distort your lines. You have to learn how to let some areas rest and work on other pieces of the work because it's such a responsive experience. You're working with something that's alive. That's kind of how you have to look at it. Almost like a surgeon in that way. You have to, one, be knowledgeable about what you're doing, how deep you're cutting, what area of the body you're tattooing. Also dictates how much blood there will be. If somebody has a little more fat, there's a little more give, a little more stretch to the skin. If like, let's say you're tattooing an elbow, you have to consider when it's stretched like this and when it looks like this. The image that you're trying to put on there, will it get distorted? Yes, it will. Are you taking that into consideration with your design? Are you taking that into consideration when you're tattooing someone? Because I could say, oh yeah, it looks great like this, but then I do this and it's wonky and off to the side because I, as a tattoo artist, didn't do my job. I will say I'm not ever trying to be the best of the best. I think I'm okay with being as good as I can be, and I think that's good enough for me. Some people will see that as, giving myself limitations. Look, I'm not trying to be the next ink master. I'm gonna tell you that right now. I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea, and I know my art also won't be, so I'm not trying to appeal to the masses. I think I just want to shoot for whoever is out here to, come in and be my client. Cool. If you're not, then you're missing out. Sorry. One day I would love to be able to do every type of, style of tattooing and become really good at it. Kind of like a jack of all trades. And then eventually maybe like I'll find something that fits my specific style or something, but I love tattooing as a whole so much that I would love to learn from other people, maybe going around the world and learning from like old OG tattoo artists that are very proficient in a style and learning directly from them. That would be really cool. I think that I wouldn't say the word impossible. I mean, it's a little far-fetched. Could it happen? Absolutely. I don't know where life is going to take me. I didn't know I would be here, so here we are. So I don't know. Maybe, I might get carried over yonder with someone who is very well experienced, and I might be able to, see someone tattoo in Japan and, learn traditional Japanese tattooing from a master, which would be absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh. Yes. Okay. So I look up to her because she is a beautiful human being, right? Besides her being absolutely ridiculously talented, she is an outstanding human. Like, she should be the type of person who can really talk the talk and walk the walk, and she should be able to talk shit to people, but she doesn't. And she is literally just like she is those people that you see and you're like, wow, how are you so beautiful, so talented, yet you are so nice and so kind to everyone. Her name is Anna Reyes, and she is in Dallas, Texas at Pristine Ink. Shout out to the Pristine Ink fam. I love every single one of you guys. They're literally the most amazing people. Like, I'm gonna be a total nerd right now, right? And I made this analogy, but Demon Slayer, right? Tanjiro, that's how I feel, right? I'm baby Tanjiro learning how to do all of these things, and like I don't know what demon slaying is, and like that's tattooing for me, right? And I'm just looking at the hashira like, right? Like I'm literally like about to cry because everybody's so cool and they're all so talented, and you're like, how could I ever be amongst these people? I have no, like, the honor is all mine, right? So anytime I go to their studio, everybody at Pristine Ink, I've literally said that they're like the hashira because they're so talented and they're also unique and they're also different from one another. But every single person there is just ridiculously great. Like they're just good humans, and I think that's why they're even better artists. And again, we come full circle to the same thing, that they love what they do and they love the people that they get to interact with, and you can feel that. So if there was ever a dream shop, that would be it. I love every single person there. But yes, Ana Reyes, my biggest inspiration. I supported her. She was the first artist that I ever got tattooed by as a female artist. I had gotten my first tattoo and I got it from a guy and it sucked. And I was like, how do I support the girlies in the industry? And I went online and she was one of the first people that ever like emailed me back. And then we immediately became friends ever since I started getting tattooed by her. She did this whole sleeve. She got to honor my puppy once he passed away. And then we just became literally the greatest of friends. I love her and honor her, and I literally look up to her so much. I send her literally all of my stuff. Like when I did that realism piece, I was like, how did I do? I hope you're proud of me. She's like, I'm so proud of you. I was like, ah! Literally started sobbing. I was like, oh, like, you know, someone you look up to, that you love their work, you have their work, right? Like she also did this. I mean, absolutely insanely talented, continues to get better with everything she does. She continues to be a scholar of tattooing. I think that's who I try to emulate, in that sense of she never allows her talent to overshadow her humanity and her empathy and, you know, who she is as a person. If anything, I feel like anyone who meets her loves her because they know how amazing she is, and then she is also just so talented. I love her and I look up to her. Thank you so much, Anna. She knows how much I love her, and I've always picked her brain, and I always will, and I'll always, you know, want to learn from her, and hopefully one day we will be able to do so. She's been kind enough to be able to like just want to support me and doesn't gatekeep, which is a huge thing in the tattoo community, which I know we're slowly getting away from, but you know, she could definitely be that way, but she is not as a person, and you know, I love her for that. Again, we talked about it earlier. Comparison is a thief of joy. We will always try and see where we fit in a scale. The world is set up that way. There are winners, there are losers. There are people who are really good or really bad at something. Things are very black and white, but art is not. And I think that's why I love it, because what I deem beautiful, someone else can say is horrifically ugly. Which I hope nobody ever does, so don't be mean. But it doesn't have to be everyone's cup of tea, because you're not gonna be for everyone. And I think in a way it is bigger than just art. It is reminding yourself that your individuality is what makes you unique and beautiful. And I want people to remember, especially young children, to remember that God made you so perfect. And everything that he put into you is for you. And it's not Janet's, Gregory's, Nate's, Connor's, Sabrina's. No one else's journey is like yours. So be okay with being different. It's okay to be different. It's cool to be different. I'm glad I'm not like everyone else. I don't want to be a square. I don't want to be boring. I don't want to be, you know, this cookie cutter version of what everybody either expects me to be or wants me to be. Like, I don't want it. I've never been that way. And I think when you are an artist, you almost feel this kind of like discomfort with structure, because it's like, no, but like the world isn't meant to be structured this way, and it's not meant to be stuffy, and it's not meant to be rigid. It's meant to be fluid and organic and beautiful and wild. And like, I want people to remember that passion, that life is very childlike, that childlike wonder, that imagination is where all artistry really stems from, right? We all have that eye for design in our own different way as artists, and then we portray that in our work. I mean, there's people who literally put a dot on a canvas and they're like, it's the most marvelous dot we've ever seen, it's never been done. And it's like, please, like, I don't know, it's not my cup of tea, but maybe for that person, it's worth $100 million. Come find me if that's what you're looking for, and I'll do a cool dot for you. I don't know. Again, it's not for everyone. Obviously, it's not for me. But I could say that something is beautiful, and then somebody else looks at it and they don't like it. So I think I would like my work to be remembered as kind of an encapsulation of my life. I would like to do more paintings, and I hope that I get the opportunity to, as time goes on, to be able to create a lot of the inspiring moments that I've been able to go through, and be able to capture them in a painting. My tattoos, I would love to get to a point where I can put a little bit of myself into each piece. And I think I would just want them to remember me for me, and let my personality come through every single piece, for people to not have ever known me, but to almost know me even better through my work. I'm a very loud person. I speak a lot and I use a lot of words. And I think art is a very loud but quiet way of expressing yourself, especially with still lifes and pieces of artwork that don't have a voice, and you don't know who I am, and someone could describe me and they would never know me, and maybe they will never know me. But I would love if whatever work I did gets to feel like you've seen into my heart a little bit, and you've kind of gotten a really privileged access to a very intimate portion of myself that I don't really share often, especially because my art has always come from the heart. I hope I can do this for a very long time. I hope I can maybe inspire someone out there to pick up, art in whatever form or fashion. I don't want notoriety, I don't want fame, I don't want any of that stuff. Like, I know that what I leave behind here is a testament of the life that I've been able to live and the blessings that I've been able to receive from God, and He has been more than gracious with the life that I've already lived, and I'm almost 3 decades in, and I'm very, very privileged to already have so much artwork out. I think it's beautiful that I get to do anything close to what God has done in this world. The plants, the beauty, the landscape, us, like, we are His creations, and I just hope that I can make Him proud. Overall, I would love for God to just feel like I honored Him with everything that I've ever created, and that I always gave Him the glory, because that is truly my source. And yeah, I just hope you guys remember little old me, and even if I don't know any of you, I hope y'all remember that you are important, you are loved, and that you are beautiful, and that anything that you make can be art. So go for it. Do it. Don't be scared. Okay, so I am a tattoo artist out of Fort Worth, Texas. I am located at 2816 Azel Avenue. Yes, it's above a taco shop, and the tacos are delicious, so come get both. Please DM me on Instagram. It should be _Sabrina tattoos _. Pretty easy. I'm Sabrina, and I tattoo. Pretty straightforward. Same on TikTok. I am also on Facebook. I don't have MySpace. If not, I would also put it out there. I wish I did, because it would be kind of cool and really nostalgic. But yeah, if you guys would love to chit chat, consult, I would love to get to know you guys. Whatever crazy tattoo idea you might have, as wild as it seems, and I seem like somebody that would be able to do your idea justice, please come by. Even if you guys want to check out my Instagram, see if I'm the right fit for you, cool. And if I'm not a gatekeeper. I will also, push you along to somebody else who is you know, wonderful and talented, and I know plenty of people in this industry who are awesome. So if I can't do it justice, then I will give it to someone else. But yeah, guys, please check me out. Give me a follow, give me a like, please, because social media is now my portfolio and like where we all need to find each other. But if you also see me out in the street, please don't be a weirdo, and say hi and be kind, and yeah, just say what's up. I'm honestly not scary.